Hello and welcome to Piano Challenge number 46. Today I got something special for you. We're going to be working on this really cool lick. I'm going to break it all down for you. If you want to grab the sheet music and the backing track that I'm using for today's lesson, just go ahead back to pianowithwillie.com/challenge and you can get all of that absolutely free of charge. All right, so first of all, we're doing our F9 chord, right, and our B flat 9 chord that we talked about in the previous challenges there, number 44, 45, right? So here we have 3, 5, 7, 9 for the F7 chord. Remember, we write it out as F7. We know that it's the 9th. We don't always add in the 9 into the chord symbol. As jazz musicians, we just typically know that if we see a dominant 7th chord, we're going to add in the 9th, maybe the 13th, and stuff like that. All right, so anyway, F7 to B flat 7. Okay, these are our two chords. And then notice the last thing here at the very end here, I take that thumb away, all right, and I'm going to show you why. So that's the left hand, pretty simple. Let's focus on the right hand. So we have okay, so let me play it together slowly, then we'll break it down. Sorry. Now there's a couple of different ways in which you could play this top line here. So the way I have it written out is, right, so you could also just, see how I hold that D? So I could hold that D out or I could keep playing it. So up at the top here, I could play that D every time, or I could, excuse me, or I could hold it out. So. See how I move my thumb away there on the B flat? Guess what? You could actually play both thumbs on here as well. It wouldn't be the worst thing in the world to do. All right, so let's break that down. So 2 and 5, 2 and 5, 3 and 5, 2 and 5, 2 and 5, 1, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. Sometimes I hit my middle finger on the E flat. If you want to do that, that's fine as well. So. And then, now here I say 2 and 5. If that's too much of a stretch for you, you can put your thumb on there. Okay. Sorry. So we have. Now, I sometimes hit that C. Guess what? You can play the C as well. So you could do that C and then go up to B flat and D. That would be fine as well. Now, when you play this along with the play along track, oh man, it really kind of comes to life. Let's take a listen to that. So now let me play this with the slower play-along track, and of course you get both of these play-along tracks, all right? Just make sure you go back to pianowithwillie.com/challenge, put in your name and email address, and you can grab both of these play-along tracks. Here we go. So, break the lick down, right? So break it down into, start with that, right? And I would also start with, just hold that D out up at the top to start with. Then you can add a couple of them in if you want. I'd probably hold out at least these two right here. So maybe you play that, those three, 1, 2, 3, and then these two, hold that D out, just kind of tie that D over. So we. See how I get out of the way with my thumb here? Right? Right, so everything that you practice, when you're practicing these lines, what you're trying to do is you're trying to practice everything in kind of a curve. So let me explain what that means here. Let me show you. All right. So like I'm just kind of like, you know, maybe I do up to there to start. So. Right, and then what I'll do is I will extend that. Maybe then I go down to, you know, the cross over here for the middle finger. Right, and then now I get the whole line in there. So. Right? So you see how I practice everything in sections. I'm trying to get better at each one of those sections. Then what I might do is I'll move over to this section. Right? I might do this all as one section. Or maybe I might even just start with these two. Go back to the A flat, you know, do these three, and then the entire thing, until finally, then I can do the whole thing nice and slow. Remember, when practicing, you're much, much better off to do this. Let's see, 3, okay, 2, 1, right? See what I'm doing here? So what I'm doing is I'm playing it out of time. I'm not worrying about like, oh, I gotta keep it in time. No, I'm not worrying about playing it in time. What I'm focusing on first is I'm focusing on playing the right notes with the right fingers at the right time. Okay, so that means that, okay, I'm gonna be playing that left-hand chord. I gotta play these two at the same time, then those two, right? That's what I'm focusing on first. Because where most students make mistakes and go wrong is they'll do like, and they'll just keep making mistake after mistake after mistake until finally, oh, I was close. You know, and this is what I call brute force practicing. Okay, so like in the hacking world for computers, brute force is when you just try all different passwords until finally you find the right password. It could be thousands or millions of passwords later, right? So brute force in practicing the piano is like, I'm just going to keep going and practicing the same thing over and over, even though I'm playing it wrong, just until finally I get it. The problem with that is every time you play something at the piano, you have to remember that your body is remembering, okay? Our bodies have a very good memory system, our kinesthetic memory, all right? That's what allows us, like when the lights go out, it's not like we're completely lost. We kind of know, okay, yeah, that's right. I remember where things are. You can kind of feel around and you get a little bit of a feeling of the side of your bed or something, and then you understand the whole shape from that point. If you could feel the corner, you're like, okay, I can visualize everything else, all right? And we do exactly the same thing at the piano. So when I get into that shape there, my finger kind of naturally knows how to feel this. But if I'm like kind of, if I'm like messing with that shape and I'm messing with that feeling and that kinesthetic aspect, all right? I'm not like taking the time to really get it right, and I'm playing the wrong notes, well, now I'm training my fingers improperly, right? Let me give you another scenario. Let's say that you have to like step over a distance and there's like a big, chasm right here, right? And maybe that distance is 1 foot or 2 feet. Like you gotta like really get your foot over that divide, right? You need to practice making sure you really get that 2 feet there. If you practice just a little baby step, it's just a little half a step or whatnot, you might find yourself tumbling down, okay? Your body has to be programmed to know that it's that big leap, when a baseball player gets up there and puts that bat in their hand, bam, and they crack that ball, they've done that so many times, they know exactly where that bat is going to be. The golfer, the football player, anyone, all right? So it's that kinesthetic training that you really want to get down, and that's why you have to make sure that you go really slow. Sacrifice rhythm and time right now for the right notes, the right fingers at the right time, okay? Right notes, right fingers, right time. And then, okay. Then we can slowly start to get the rhythm. Okay? All right, now, in next week's session, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how you can take all of this stuff that we've been doing for the past few weeks and start to put it all together. Some really cool stuff. All right, I'll see you in next week's session. Don't forget to grab the sheet music and the backing tracks. Just go back to pianowithwillie.com/challenge, and I'll see you in the next challenge.